Wel, prynhawn da pawb and croeso y coginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Mc-Cookalong. My name is Richard and heddiw today, as I said on Monday, we are going to be celebrating International Hamburger Day by creating a wonderful little hamburger happy meal. And I promise you, we've got the wedges to go with it, we've got a little smoothie milkshake to go with it, and I promise you this meal is going to be absolutely cowin' lush. Now, as with all of the cookalongs, now that I've got my computer bits live or sorted so that we're live, can't get my words out, I just need to quickly go and wash my hands and then I will be back in the room. So this is your 21-second warning. I will be back in a couple of moments to show you how to make this wonderful little hamburger happy meal. So bear with me and I will be back. Well, prynhawn da, if you have just joined us, I'm just quickly washing my hands and then I will be back in the room. As you can see on our notice board, we are going to be doing a Mc-Cookalong this afternoon and we're going to be making a hamburger style happy meal with the burger, the wedges, and also a lovely little milkshakey sort of smoothie, raspberry sort of flavoured milkshake as well. So I've just washed my hands. I'm just going to pop my paper towel into there and I'm just going to pop a little bit of antibacterial gel on my hands and you'll be pleased to know that I'm back in the room. So as with all of the cookalongs, I'm going to get started with my official part in a moment and then it will very much go downhill from there as it's nearly, I'm very excited, half term, right? It's been a long term for all of us, so I'm looking forward to a little break next week. So as I'm going to start with my official part this afternoon is prynhawn da pawb and croeso y coginio ar y hyd. Good afternoon everybody and welcome once again to the Happy Mc-Cookalong. My name is Richard and today we are going to be celebrating International Hamburger Day, which as you can see we're going to be doing that by creating a Mc-Cookalong hamburger happy meal, and I promise you this is absolutely blassus iawn, super tasty. Now then, as with all the cookalongs, I'm hoping that my technology is working this afternoon, and if I click that button just there, the recipe card, yes it has, the recipe card for a hamburger to start with has just come on the screen, and I'm going to be making our hamburgers in front of you this afternoon and showing you how easy it's going to be. I'm just going to move that one just over there so I can see it slightly bigger, and you can see that for our hamburgers, to make 4 hamburgers you'll need 300 grams of some sort of mince, right? It could be minced beef, it could be minced turkey. If you're choosing beef, then make sure that you're trying to choose the lean sort of stuff, which means that there's going to be less fat in there, but also less fat coming out afterwards. If you haven't got either of those, which if I'm honest, I made a slight mistake today. I forgot to get the mince, or in actual fact I forgot to defrost it ready for this afternoon session. So I quickly decided that I'm this afternoon going to be doing a mixed bean burger. And again, you need 300 grams of beans, which is basically a tin of beans that has been drained, and you can treat it more or less, once you crush them, exactly the same as your minced beef or turkey. It works really well. And again, mixed beans are super cheap. I think I paid about 60 pence for this can of beans, and that's going to be enough for 4 people. So it really reduces the cost, but they're also jam-packed full of fibre and jam-packed full of protein as well. So I'm doing a half quantity today, so just to confuse you, the recipe just there is for 4 burgers. I'm making 2 because I've got 2 that I already prepared earlier. So what I've done is this isn't on the recipe card, but I'll make sure that I put the bean burger recipe on the Facebook page for you. But I've got my mixed beans just there, and I've already drained them off, right? So you don't want that sort of liquid around them. You want to be as dry as possible. And there's a couple of ways in which you can sort of crush them. You can either put them in the blitzer, or I like to do it the anger buster method, right? I pretend that's someone or something that's upset you. This afternoon it's my dogs that keep on barking outside my door this afternoon, right? Right, all they're going to do is we're going to crush them. Now I find it easier to either crush them down like that, or if they're not behaving and they move all the time, if you use the top to start with, you can just crush them down just as so. Now depending on how smooth you want your burger, right, just depends on how much crushing you do. I quite like them with a little bit of texture, right? So I'm not going to crush them down too much. I can then pop them into there, and doing them in a bag is really, really good, right? Because you can then just really crush them down, and you can see in my little bag just there, they're nicely crushed, right? Now, if I was doing this in the house rather than in front of you guys, I would probably pop it into the blitzer, right? But there's lots of ways in which you can do it, and I can just shake that down and they'll all come to the bottom, and that's my beans already done, right? So super simple, it is unbelievable. The next bit, the rest of the ingredients are exactly the same to what you've got just on there. So this needs to go into a mixing bowl. I knew that I was going to forget something this afternoon, so bear with me. I'm just going behind the screen, and I'm going to grab myself just a clear mixing bowl. I've got a stainless steel one, but you won't be able to see what I'm doing. So all of your beans, all your mince, your 300 grams of whatever you're using goes straight into there. Obviously, if you're using your mince, if you touch it, then you'll obviously need to go and wash your hands as well. So I'm just popping all of those just into there, and I can pop that in my sort of bin just underneath, and you can see that we've got those lovely sort of little beans just there. Then we've got the extras, right? So the first thing that I'm going to add is I've got half an onion, or quarter of a small, a quarter of a large onion, or half a small onion, just going in just like that. I haven't cooked it. It's going to cook when it goes into the frying pan sort of afterwards, right? So that's the first one that we've got. The next thing is we have got a little bit of carrot, and we need to make some breadcrumbs, and we're going to grate the carrot, which means that it disintegrates when it's cooking. It's absolutely fantastic. So the recipe card says 1 small carrot. This is a very large carrot, and I'm doing a half quantity, right? So you just need about 2 dessert spoons for a half quantity, or 4 dessert spoons for a larger sort of quantity. And just remember, when you're grating, always make sure that you've got your hands on the bottom, so they're nowhere near the blade of your little grater, and always grate down, move away, grate down, move away. Even though I'm doing it quite fast, I'm moving it away, which gives me time to move my hands up. So I've got my 2 dessert spoons, and we can measure that just to make sure. I've got 2 heaped dessert spoons of my carrot just there. So that's going in just as so, and then I need some breadcrumbs. And there's lots and lots of ways in which you can make your breadcrumbs. I particularly like using these part-baked rolls, right? I freeze them down, right? Individually. I like to get these little individual ones, and then next time I want to have some fresh breadcrumbs, I just pull it out. You can do it from frozen, or you can do it from once it's defrosted, and they grate down really, really well, right? And for this recipe, I'm just looking at the full quantity, you need 30 grams, whereas 15 grams for my half quantity, or again, 2 very large heaped dessert spoons, right? And it grates down perfectly. You get perfect breadcrumbs. And these are the part-bake sort of wholemeal rolls. So again, you're increasing that fibre content. So I'm just going to tap that just as so. And that is my breadcrumbs just there. So yeah, I've got enough just there. So all of those are going in just as so. And that's just there to sort of help bulk it out, but more importantly, it's going to dry the mixture up. It's going to suck up all the liquid, which means that it's going to bind a lot better, right? So we've got those bits just in there. The next thing that we have got is we have got some soy sauce. So bear with me 1 second. And I've got some light soy sauce just there, and it's 1 teaspoon. So I'm just going to add just 1 teaspoon just as so. Not compulsory, but it does add a little bit of flavour, right? And then we have got our tomato puree. So it's half a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon of tomato puree. And that's just going to add a little bit of flavour, but also help to bind it, right? I'm going to add a little bit of chilli to my bean burgers, right? Not compulsory if you're doing the beef or the turkey. We've then got some garlic, either a small clove of garlic that's been chopped or half a teaspoon, and I'm measuring by eye, half a teaspoon of your garlic granules. And as I said, these are absolutely wonderful for bog standard sort of cooking, for everyday sort of cooking, right? Because they just stay fresher for longer as well. Then we've got the obligatory mixed herbs. So you want about half a teaspoon of that, and then you've got the obligatory sort of parsley just there. And you can add as much or as little parsley as you want. So I'm just going to give that a little mix in one direction. Never forget, right? So that goes round just as so, just like that, and that's starting to combine. Make sure that you combine everything. The tomato puree will help to darken the colour sort of as well, right? So that's all mixed up just there. Now then, to make sure it really binds, I'm going to add a little bit of egg, right? And I've done it with and without the egg in the past. When it's without the egg, it tends to break up, right? So you do need a little bit of egg in there, right? Not a huge amount, but it will make a huge difference, right? So that has become quite wet now, but that bread is going to suck up all that liquid, right? And it works really well. So what we're going to do is we are going to shape this now, and then we leave them in the fridge just to cool down for about half an hour, right? And you can either shape them by hand, or I like doing them in my little pastry cutters, right? So I've got my little pastry cutters just there. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just, because I've got some that I made earlier, I'm just going to start heating up my saucepan. So a little bit of noise now. I hope that you're able to hear me. But we're going to go back to shaping our little burgers. Now then, I'm making these medium sort of size burgers, and that's about a 6 to 8 centimetre sort of little pastry cutter just there. You could use a chef ring, but I pay £1 for 5 of those in one of the larger sort of supermarkets, right? So lots of flour on your surface, right? And then all that you're going to do is, as I said, I'm making 2 burgers this afternoon, so I'm just going to pop that into my little ring just so. This is the easiest way of doing it, right? And then make sure it's all compacted sort of down. Make sure that you can move it and it's got plenty of flour underneath, and then literally you can pull it out like that, and you've got your perfect little burger. I can pop a little bit of flour on the surface just as so, and that's really good. The other way, as I said, you can do it in your hands, right? And if you want to do it in your hands, what you will need is to make sure, that's just cold water in my pan just there, make sure that you've got some water next to you, and you can water your hands just like that, and that will then prevent this mixture from sticking to your hands. So you can see with this mixture, all that I'm doing is I'm just shaping it into that burger sort of shape, and then you can pop that bit on. So you've got your 2 choices there. You can either, I'm going to pop a little bit more just onto there, just as so. Make sure it's really well coated. And these are quite soft at the moment, so if I was to cook these straight away, they'd probably sort of all disintegrate in the pan. So you now need to leave these for half an hour just to cool down. You'll be pleased to know that I've already done that, right? So bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to go and wash my hands. And whilst I am washing my hands, don't forget, if you've got any comments on the recipes that we're doing this afternoon, then please do pop them into the comments page, and either myself or one of the Happy team will be able to answer any of your questions or comments. So I am back in the room, you'll be pleased to know. So let me just take that away and pop that just underneath there, because our burgers are done, and you'll be pleased to know that here are some that I made earlier. So these have been cooling now for a good sort of half an hour, and I'm going to cook these in my little frying pan, right? I'm hoping that you're able to see my frying pan. It's sort of steaming at the moment, right? So I'm just going to allow that to cool down a little bit. I do need a little bit of oil, and what we're going to do, I like to do it, as you know, in a non-stick sort of frying pan, and I am going to add just 1 and 2 spoonfuls of oil, just like that, right? Just to make sure that they don't stick, right? Then all I'm going to do is, I tried to find a fish slice earlier, but I think it's been washed at the moment. So I've got my burger just there. I'm just going to do 1 burger at the moment. In actual fact, I'm going to take that one just there, because the other one was starting to fall apart. Make sure, and then pop that just into there. And you want to cook them, if you're doing the meat versions, the beef or the turkey, you're going to be cooking them for on a low to medium sort of heat for, well, yeah, low to medium, for about 4 to 5 minutes on either side. Your bean burgers, all that you're trying to do is brown it on the edges. Everything's been cooked in there. So you're looking for about 3 to 4 minutes on either side, right? And you end up with amazing burgers. So I'm going to come back to that, and what I am going to do is I am just going to pop all of those behind me. I'm running out of space, and I'm going to grab myself a cloth, and I'll be back in a couple of moments. Again, if you've got any comments, please write them on the page, and we will have a look. I always forget during these sessions to check, but I will check in a couple of moments if there are any comments. So let me just wipe that down, and whilst our burger is sort of cooking, we have then got our little sort of potato wedges or French fries to prepare, as well as our smoothie milkshake, right? So for our French fries, what we have got, you've got a couple of options. You can either use a large potato like that, and that's just a baking potato actually that I had in the fridge, or you can use some new potatoes. And you can see I'm using new potatoes today, so we're making mini French fries, and I particularly like using baking potatoes and also new potatoes, because it means that you can leave the skin on and you don't have to worry about it, right? So what I have done, let me grab myself another little bit just here, is I've cut these up into small pieces. So let me just remove that recipe while I remember, and I'll pop the other recipe on just there. There we go. So we've got our French fries just there. So per person you're looking at, with new potatoes, 5 to 6 little new potatoes per person, right? And what I did with these, I cut them into 3 little pieces, just as so, and then each one was cut into 3 as well. And that means, right, that you're going to have more sort of French fries. They're going to cook a lot quicker, and they're going to crisp up really well as well, right? So once you have prepared all of your beans, you then need to pop them into a little sort of bowl just like that. And I've got these stored in water, which is removing a little bit more of the starch. So I'm just going to pop those around just as so, and you can take a cloth, you can dry them off if you want to. By drying them off, you'll end up with crispier sort of wedges or French fries, right? Then to that, I'm just going to add 1.5 spoonfuls of little vegetable oil. I've got some mixed herbs. We can then give that a really good sort of mix. I do it in my little sort of bowl just as so, and then that goes straight onto a little baking tray like that. Try and get all of the skins down on the baking tray, and that means that they end up becoming really lovely and crispy just like that, and they bake off then in the oven for between 25 and 30 minutes at 190 degrees, and you end up with perfect French fries. Now then, our little burger has started to cook off on that side, so I'm hoping that I can just flip that over and you've got a lovely little burger just there, right? So I am just popping that back just there. It might be a little bit caramelized. I'm getting lots of sort of smoke in here now, right? So I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit. I might have to cough in a moment as well. So let me take that away. I tell you what, these live sessions are a nightmare because if something goes wrong, I can't do much about it, right? I'm hoping that you won't see that bit, and I will do a better one earlier afterwards, right? So once your potatoes are sort of cooked, they should look a little bit like that, and you can see that you've got your perfect little French fries. So I'm just going to pop those back into there. I'm going to turn the oven off because the last thing that we have got, in actual fact, I'm going to pull those out for a minute, otherwise they'll start burning as well. And the last thing that we have got to prepare is we have got our little raspberry sort of smoothie, right? So let me just pull these bits out just as so, and I'm gonna, that's all nicely cooked. Let's have a look. It's nicely browned on that side now, so that's nicely done. So for our little raspberry smoothie, I'm just going to move that across just as so. You can see that we've got three main ingredients, right? You've got a little bit of milk, and I'm doing a sort of half sort of portion today. So I've got about 150 mils of milk. I've got about 100 grams of frozen raspberries, and I love using frozen fruit because it's still got all the nutrients, and it also means A, it's cold, so it's going to make that nice and cold, but also B, it's sometimes a lot cheaper than the stuff that you can buy, the fresh that you can buy in the supermarkets. So, and the last one is I've just got a fat-free sort of yogurt. You know the variety that I've got just there, because you can probably recognise the pot, right? And in one of the big supermarkets this week, I think they were on offer. I think it was 8 for £2.50 or something like that, and so I got very excited. I'm just going to pop all of my raspberries just in there, trying to not have a face full of splashes of milk. And then I got my raspberry yogurt, and this is going to give us all the sweetness that we need, and pop all of that in just like that. And the final thing that I'm going to add is I'm just going to add about 1/4 of a banana, and that's going to help to thicken it up, but also, more importantly, add a little bit of flavour. Now, I just so happen to be doing it in my big sort of NutriBullet type of thing, but you could do it with a hand blender. You could do it with whatever you want, right? So that goes into there. I'm going to pop that on, and we'll grate that up just like so. And you can see that you've got this amazing coloured little milkshake, right? Obviously, you could serve it in a little takeaway sort of smoothie sort of cup. I'm just going to serve it in this little cup today, just like that, right? Now then, something else that you can do with these is you can make them into perfect little lollies, right? And I just picked up these little Calippo style sort of silicone sort of lolly sort of containers from one of the online sort of shops, right? It's not the one that's named after the forest, it's the one that's an eBay, right? So you've got that just there, and all that I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the rest of that just goes into there, and then you fill these up about 3/4 of the way, and then you end up with delicious. You pop this into the freezer for at least 3 hours, right? And you end up with absolutely delicious little Calippo style sort of lollies, and they even come with little lids just like that, so you can pop those on just as so. Those then go into the freezer, you can then pull the lid off, and you've got a perfect little lolly just as so, right? And I think I paid about £4 for these little moulds, right? So they're not overly expensive, and really good to do with the kids, particularly over half term and things like that. So I'm not going to mix up all of the colours, but I am going to put all the lids on, because otherwise they will fall all over the place, right? And I will show you, take a picture of these afterwards, and you can see what they look like, right? So we've got those just there, and I can pop all of that over just as so. And then the last thing is just for us to assemble our little burger, right? Now then, for our burger, I've just got my burger going in just there. I'm going to add a little bit of cheese on top of that, and then I can pop my burger just in just like that. Now I am going to add a little bit of sauce, and I'm going to make my own sort of spicy sort of style sort of Burger King or Mc sort of sauce. I've got some mayonnaise and some yogurt just there, a teaspoon of each. I'm going to add a little bit of my favourite smoked paprika. I'm going to add a little bit of parsley, a tiny amount of our garlic granules. He says a very small amount, right? I might have overslipped there. I told you it was going to go downhill this afternoon. It's Thursday and it's nearly half term, right? So a little bit of tomato puree in there as well, and then I can give that a really good mix just as so, right? And you end up with this sort of red sort of garlicky mayonnaise, right? And I promise you, try not to put too much garlic granules in, otherwise you'll be scaring lots of vampires away, right? So I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on top just as so. You could add some tomato, you could add some salad to that if you wanted to. I'm just going to have it plain just as so. I've toasted my little burger just like that, and then all that we have got left to do is we have got our little Hamburger Happy Meal. Now then, I used to, many years ago, I used to work in McDonald's, right? And we're talking 25 years ago, right? So I've got my burger just going in, just my little greaseproof paper just as so. Hasn't quite worked. So we've got our little burger just there. I've made a little bag for my French fries, so I can pull those over just here. I can grab myself another little sort of spoon, and they work really well, right? So I can pop my little French fries just into my little bag just as so, and you will then end up with a perfect little sort of Mc-Cookalong Happy Meal hamburger sort of Happy Meal. And let me pop those just there, just as so. We've got our little smoothie, and just because we're all about health eating, I've got an apple for dessert. I can open up my burger so you can see our delicious little sort of burger just like that, and there you have our Mc-Cookalong Hamburger Happy Meal with perfect little French fries, a raspberry and banana smoothie, and an apple for dessert. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's cook along. It's been a whistle stop tour of lots of different recipes. We've covered quite a lot this afternoon, so thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, if you are able to complete the survey for the Happy Project, which talks about all of the different sort of activities that they're doing on their Facebook page, that would be much appreciated. I'm hoping that one of the Happy team will be able to pop the link on for you in a couple of moments as well. So all that leaves for me to say is diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going for a little lie down in a darkened room for half an hour because that was quite stressful this afternoon, and I will see you next week for another wonderful cook along sessions. So diolch yn fawr, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon. Hwyl fawr and coginio hapus.